In collaboration with WTJX, the League of Women Voters of the Virgin Islands is pleased to present one-on-one interviews with candidates for the 7th legislative seat in the Virgin Islands from the St. Thomas-St. John District. All candidates were contacted and invited to participate. 4 either declined or did not respond to our invitation. I am Gwen Marie Molinar of the League of Women Voters, and today we are pleased to have Ms. Alma Frances Heyliger for an interview. Welcome, Ms. Heyliger. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you so much. Good day, my name is Alma Frances Heyliger. I am a candidate for the 32nd Legislature, seeking that 7th seat that's available. I want to thank everyone for taking this time out to look at this program because this is a historic event. This is probably the first time in a history of the Virgin Islands that after an election, within 4 months, you'll be able to look and see what's being done within the legislature, and you have a chance to go back and possibly put someone in a seat that could represent you in the way that needs to be represented. I want to thank the League of Women Voters along with WTJX for this opportunity. And as we continue on this, I'm already enjoying this one-on-one dialogue we're about to have. This is the first time we're doing it. So I'm definitely looking forward to these questions and see how my answers can assist with you making the decision to choose me as your representative in the 32nd Legislature. Once again, Alma Frances Heyliger, candidate number 4.
Well, Ms. Heyliger, since only one will be selected from among 13 aspirants, what do you see as your unique characteristics that would encourage voters to vote for you over the remaining 12?
Well, first of all, I am an independent candidate. One of the reasons why I have always selected to be independent is because I have told everyone that has ever known me, if I ever have the opportunity to walk through the doors of the legislature, I want to be able to walk in there and make decisions strictly based on the people. I want to be able to make decisions that are for the people and not more aligned with party politics. I think at the end of the day, as we have witnessed and watched this 32nd legislature over the last 3 months, we see where party politics play a huge role. As an independent candidate, I represent all of the Virgin Islands. I could make a decision based on what I feel is in the people's best interest, and I really want that. I just want to walk through the doors. I want to choose the people first and make decisions on their behalf as an independent candidate. So I think that kind of makes me unique in a way, but I think it's a definite plus when it comes to the people of the Virgin Islands.
Now, Ms. Heyliger, you ran in the last election
Yes.
Unsuccessfully. What do you attribute your loss to, and what do you think you can say now that might be different from what you were able to say then?
Well, I guess for me, I don't consider it losing. I consider it the people's choice. At the end of the day, the people of the Virgin Islands have the right to select the individuals they want to represent them. I see that every time that I put myself forward to be a representative in the legislature, that it is me saying, listen, I am willing to share a little bit of who I am. I am willing to take the risk. I am willing to put myself on the block. I am willing to be your voice. But at the end of the day, it's their decision. So as I'm running again for the 3rd time, I am once again saying to them, I am offering myself to you. Now, there's a lot of things that happens in politics that, sometimes the average person is not aware of. Whether you have situations where people they're maligning you with certain issues and say, well, don't vote for her because she's going to be this and that. I'm going to be honest. One of the biggest things that I heard after the election when it came to me as an individual is that she's too outspoken. She's always telling the public too much, and if she gets in there, she's going to cause confusion. and that's the honest truth. Yeah. But I would rather the public know what's happening when it comes to their money, when it comes to their laws. I would rather them know what's happening so we could collectively make better decisions to help ourselves to progress further, because we're in a serious situation right now when it comes to our economy.
And well, let me
Yes.
ask you this question then, since you're beginning to talk about issues. What do you see, and we asked this question in the last round,
Okay.
what do you see as the three primary issues facing the territory now? Just identify what they are without talking about solutions.
Well, to me, number one, crime. Crime is a serious issue here. The infrastructure of this government as a whole, when it comes to economic stability, is another issue. And you have to deal with, I don't think enough is being done when it comes to our tourism product, which brings in the most money into this territory. So when it comes to culture and marketing, when it comes to crime, and when it comes to economic stability, I think for me, those are the three major issues.
Okay, well, let me follow up on one of those issues. You mentioned the economic status of the
Yes.
Virgin Islands. So tell me, what do you think of the governor's proposal, the measures that he's offering for revenue generation? Are they different from yours, and how would you direct it as a member of the legislature?
Well, if I was a member of the legislature, I personally would have voted against the sin taxes. And I think there were a lot of alternatives, not only suggested by myself as an individual living in this community. I took time out and my own money and paid for airtime. And I went on the radio and I shared with the community some other alternatives that could have been utilized. There were other senators that brought forward other options in order to be utilized instead of the sin taxes. I personally did not agree with the sin taxes because here's why. When you have a situation where you already have a community that has a high cost of living, you already have a community where individuals are dealing with, how am I going to live paycheck to paycheck? How am I going to pay my bills? And out of the blue, of all the people that you've elected, these bills that went down to these 14 senators, the vote came out 9-5, that 9 of them felt that these taxes on the backs of the people of the Virgin Islands were the best option.
Well, let me ask a question, Ms. Heyliger. These sin taxes, how many Virgin Islanders were actually going to be affected by this? These were taxes on alcohol, on cigarettes. These were not taxes on your food. They were not taxes on your gas. These were not taxes that the majority of people would have been faced. Were these not taxes primarily for tourists and visitors coming in?
Well, stop and think and listen to what you just said. How does it affect the people of the Virgin Islands? One of the groups of people that came out against this tin tax had to do with the businesses here. The majority of monies that come into the territory's coffers come from private businesses. After these sin taxes were passed, how many businesses closed down and announced that due to the economic loss that their business is going to receive because of this additional cost, how many people got fired? You just heard a breakdown of, I think, almost 60 people from another EDC company got fired the other day. You have to recognize that there's a domino effect. When a tax goes on to an item, alcohol, why would a tourist come here and pay an exorbitant amount of money for alcohol? And they say, wait a minute, I could get back on this boat and go to the next island and buy this alcohol $10 cheaper. What do you think is going to happen when all of this alcohol sits on the shelves? Businesses lose money. Businesses are then going to have to lay off employees. Employees now have to go on the government and get assistance. They're not paying taxes. So when you have to recognize that this is going to deeply, in fact, impact the people of the Virgin Islands, it's not an option. Now, when you talk about the sugary drinks, who drinks sodas in all of these drinks?
Well, the question,
a lot of the locals do.
I
That is going to be a direct impact on them.
Now, maybe we need to talk about nutrition, but let me, and that could be argued there. But the other argument against it, I'm being the devil's advocate now, the other argument is that even with the increase in taxes, the amount that people were paying for alcohol and cigarettes were still below what one would find on an average, either in the States or in other islands. But you have made your point, and your points are good. So let me follow through on some other areas, because we want to cover as much as possible for our discussion. Let's look at the way we're being governed.
Yes.
There's been a lot of talk about district governance. What do you see as the pros and cons regarding district governance for the Virgin Islands?
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of history. Just before the 2012 election, there were several senators that proposed certain bills that would have potentially put districting into the Virgin Islands. Number one, I believe at the time, Senator Hill, he had a proposal for either the status quo, districting at large. I think at the time, Senator Richards, Senator Hansen, they all had put forward bills to see which direction the people of the Virgin Islands preferred to go. I think one had even wanted to have a referendum on that election to see the decision of the people. But long and short, when it comes to subdistricting, there are pros and cons. The pros of it would be that individuals could be responsible for a specific area. So what you would see now, where people are going to all 15 senators and demanding do this, and some are saying, well, I live in St. Croix, I'm trying, but I don't really know everything about St. Thomas, St. John, and some are saying, I live in St. Thomas, St. John. When you are over a specific district, let's say Bavoni, for example, and you run for that seat, everything geared towards trying to make sure that entire area has what it needs is going to be the responsibility of that senator. And what happens there is you're held accountable. And that accountability brings about greater progress, point blank. But then you're going to have individuals that are going to say, well, districting, you're going to have people that are going to be running for this seat. All of a sudden, they're going to attack one person. They think they're the weakest. And do you decide, do you have to live in that area to care about it? Or can you only run for the area that you live in? At the end of the day, I think it's going to be a decision to be made by the people. I don't have a problem with it being on the next general election ballot, and we decide what we want. But the difference is it's going to have to be a binding referendum, because for some reason our legislators have they like to put non-binding things and say, well, okay, we got your opinion, and that's it.
Indeed.
So if you make it binding, whatever the decision of the people are, whether they feel more at-large senators, whether they feel sub-districting, or if they like the status quo, let that be our decision collectively.
Good. Now let's move on to GERS.
Yes.
Do you think the legislature has any role in helping GERS with its culture, with its crisis?
Yes, I do.
And what do you see that role being?
Well, I see it as two roles. They helped it where it got to be right now, and they have a role to assist in fixing it.
You want to expand on that?
Yes.
What do you see as the role of the legislature?
Well, let me
plays?
tell you, I've worked at the legislature since 1999. I was there when they came up with quite a bit of these pieces of legislation, in my opinion, that helped GRS be in the situation that they are today.
One being?
One of the things I remember, they were doing this early retirement. You could go home at 45. They were giving you $10,000 to leave. And I remember sitting down with several senators. Now, mind you, I'm just an employee. But I also recognize that I was a constituent, and I was a voter, and I'm a resident. And in sitting down with some of these senators, I spoke to them. I said, listen, what you guys are doing, in my opinion, humble opinion, is you're moving one set of people off of one set of payroll and moving them to another. And at the end of the day, if we are not doing what needs to be done to sustain GRS, you're just kicking this problem down the road. And it's one thing to be nice, to say, guess what? I want to give you $10,000 to leave. But what about all the monies that we're missing from government contributions? A lot of those people weren't able to retire when they were supposed to.
So what would you do as a senator?
As a senator, number one, I think that GRS needs a complete overhaul. That's my personal thought point. I think that we need to start looking at it from a perspective of giving some of the retirees an option for figuring out if they want to continue with the way the retirement is, or give some of them more of a 401k option, because some of them are pretty savvy when it comes to the management of their own money. A lot of governments within the United States do have the two-part option, where some individuals do manage their money in the retirement. You know, some might make a whole lot more than others because they might know the stock market way better than another person.
So you would then look for a revision or revising the way it's structured and give
yes,
people more.
It has to be done. And infuse many options. There's also the discussion about potentially bringing in the private sector into GRS, because over the years you've had that conversation where is this a huge influx of people that might be willing to be a part of the system so it can stay solvent?
Well, clearly you have your ideas,
Yes.
and you've got to get them out there. I want to say we really enjoyed having you, and thank you for sharing your thoughts with the voters. And I want to say thank you to WTGX for this time. The League of Women Voters of the Virgin Islands encourages all eligible voters to vote on April 8th. Those who come out to vote and can convince others to do the same help determine who our leaders will be. We have major issues in the Virgin Islands that require capable and informed leadership. Your vote can determine who will fill the vacant seat in our legislature. So see you at the polls on April 8th.